What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. Today is Friday the 18th and it is the end of Objection week. If you haven't had a chance to check out the other videos that were released this week, I was at a pace of 2 per day, so it was what, total of 8. That's going to be geared around not only sales objections but also sharing with you by experience of how I got through those challenges and how I was able to adapt and ensure that I wasn't always being stopped in my tracks by the same old damn objections. And how I did that was I basically just mastered the rebuttal process. Everyone has a specific flow, right? And so everyone has their own way of conversing. Everyone has their own way of kind of orchestrating the energy of that conversation. And I'm sharing with you how I did it. And I'm getting a lot of great feedback from loan officers all across the country who've used the sales script. They're giving me examples of when it's helped them take back control of the conversation. And in this call, or in this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you 2 ways to not only open up the initial sales conversation so that you can properly frame your sales presentation or your sales pitch. You see, a lot of the times that sales pitches never go through or end up unsuccessful is because the right pieces were not put in place. And so if you think of, let's say, pillars, right? Like there are pillars that hold up a roof, right? Or a structure. And you have to have all pillars in place in order to have a stable presentation, in order to have everything grounded and balanced. And sometimes these pillars are hard to extract, right? It's hard because they'll hit you with an objection right up front, like, hey, what's your lowest rate possible, right? Or they'll hit you at the end of your sales presentation and say, you know what? The price just isn't for me, or you know what, I can get it cheaper elsewhere, or you know what, I like everything but I just don't like the cost. It's always about cost, right? Or I don't like the rate. So they'll like everything else but they just won't like the rate. And that one concern or that one thing that's actually stopping them from buying from you is a concern, right? It's an objection. This is how we call their concerns. But that's all an objection is just a concern. And so what if you had a systematic process that you developed on your own so that it would enable you to do a few things at once? And this is time efficiency. This is where you become crafted enough to literally orchestrate. When I say orchestrate, what I'm talking about is you literally control the momentum. Think of like a tour guide. Like if you've ever been anywhere and you had to follow a tour guide knows their way around. A tour guide knows what's behind the next turn, right? They know what's coming up 2, 3, 4 highlights ahead of you. So they'll know the monuments, they'll know the content, the information, the fun facts, the insider information. And what do we do when we're with a tour guide? We fucking follow them. We listen to them. They are the subject matter experts on the phone with us, technically, but they're in front of us. And so I use that reference or that example because I want you to believe that you are also a tour guide. And I want you to mix it up. So instead of being the tour guide that shows everyone around and shows everyone all 109 products that you have, and you start spitting out fun facts and terminologies and abbreviations and industry jargon that literally only you and I understand, before you start saying, oh yeah, we got cash out offers, or oh yeah, we got the lowest rate. I want you to rethink your verbiage. I want you to rethink your wordplay, because there are things like, and I'll give you an example, like cash out, right? I just said cash out. Cash out is an example of something that our prospects are being wired to not do. And so you have to think about prospects and their environment, their circle of influence, right? And our prospects have their own inner circle. And what I'm talking about that is they have their own friends, they have their own podcasts, they got their own coworkers, their own circle or group of people that influence their decisions. And whether it's their decisions of living a better life, meaning lifestyle improvement and lifestyle quality, or it'll be you know, they're influencing their decision because they don't want to look stupid. A lot of times, you know, what people protect most is their status, and they don't want to be rejected. They don't want to, you know, be unaccepted. They don't want to be the sucker, right? And this is something that all humans face. We face it. I face it. I know for sure I face it. I know I'm pretty damn sure you face it. If you don't, fucking God bless you, man. Stronger than me. But where I'm getting at is how it correlates with the, you know, the thesis of objections is that when you're a tour guide and you're saying these things and you're leading them, where you look at the alternative. The alternative is the common practice of salesmanship right now. And this is going to sound familiar because this is on your sales floor. And so the call comes in and the loan officer will do the traditional greeting like, hey, thank you so much for calling. It's a great day at my company. You know, how can I help you? What are you looking for? And then of course, the prospect, of course, because we already know the game. It's not like it's gonna catch us by surprise. But it's funny because some of us will let it catch us by surprise as if, and then it controls the emotion of the call, right? Because you're going in and you're thinking in the back of your head like, man, this motherfucker, he's gonna ask me about the lowest rate again, just like the last 3 fucking calls. It's gonna fuck up my momentum. I just had a deal cancel. I just got an appraisal that came back low. And so this is, you know, mean like you're stacking up emotions, negative emotions in your negative emotion bank. And the whole goal is to shift and deplete that negative emotion bank and completely fill up the positive emotions, right? The positive energy. And I'm not talking about like you walk around with a fucking chip on you, you know what I mean? Like small, hey, how are you? You're fucking fake. What I'm talking about is that you are realistic, you're empathetic, you are how can I put it? You are easygoing per se, right? Like, but you're coming through in your tone in a way where you are a tour guide, but at the same time you have a tour to give. And where I think a lot of it fails is instead of the traditional salesman going into it as a tour guide, they're more like the sales rep who's at Best Buy or Verizon, or when you go, you know, into Apple, you know, that they're just standing there in front of you, just answering questions like, oh, okay, well, Mr. Jones, thanks for calling in. It's a great day at my fucking company. How are you? Mr. Jones, of course, is going to say, well, hey, before we even get into it, right? Before we even get into all this, you know, mumbo jumbo, what's your lowest rate? I'm just worried about lowering my rate by a full 5 points or whatever outlandish request they got. And then Mr. Jones, and then what do we say to Mr. Jones, right? Well, the traditional salesman, right, the normal, the regular, the average salesman is going to reply back like, oh, well, hey, Mr. Jones, our lowest 30-year fixed rate right now is at 4.25%, but that's no cost, no blah, blah, blah. And the salesman never even had a chance to extract the right information. They never had a chance to extract the information of their current term, their current rate. Why do they want the lower rate? Why do they need the payment savings? And so then the average salesman will go into negotiation way before the whole fucking game starts. And I call it a game because it's a level. You're on the beginning level and you got like 2 or 3 different levels to clear before you even get to a close, right? But what happens is people try to find the fucking warp zone at the very beginning of level 1. And so in other words, they're going right into negotiations as if we already know they qualify, as if we already understand what motivates that prospect. But the issue here, and where the issue lies, is because we as salesmen, most particular average salesmen, will bring in their emotions from that day, from their past call, from the objections they just got in the previous meeting or sales presentation, and dependent on how well those experiences or those scenarios went, whether they got the sale or they got a good appraisal, right? Like you ever get that appraisal back and it's just way more than you expected, and now you got even more solid news because maybe your pricing improves, or now you can extend that extra 10 grand, or you know, there's something happens and you just feel that rush. It's kind of like that euphoric feeling after you close a sale, a big rip sale, a big loan amount. You know, you're on cloud 9. And that stimulation or that momentum rush is what determines your your motion, right? Like you're creating motion, in this emotion, basically you're filling up your positivity bank with that swagger, with that confidence, that shit that exudes from your body language and just the way you act, where you're not a hungry salesman, you're not a desperate salesman, you're not just looking for a shortcut and trying to skip the fucking struggle. Yo, you have to go through the grind. If you want to experience, you got the audacity to want to experience the upside of having a higher income than most. Because keep in mind, what the opportunity you have in front of you is you could make an annual salary, someone's annual salary in one fucking month. But the problem is, though, is that even though you have that capability, will you do it? What the fuck will you do, right? Will you look at it and say, you know what, I don't necessarily need an annual income in 1 month. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good with just 3 or 4 G's. So, you know, with my base, that just means 1 or 2 units. So I'll be all right. I mean, I don't need to really try that hard. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lose any time on catching up on Ozark and shit. You know what I mean? Like a new fucking season's coming out. I don't have to sacrifice that. And they make room for all this other bullshit. But what we need to make room for is practice, is sales training, is learning how to par and understand your opponent. Understand if they're going to throw a hook at you, if they're going to throw a fucking jab at you, if they want to throw an uppercut. It's understanding your opponent's stance, positioning, right? Think of it as sparring, but instead of their stance or their positioning, you're reading their tone and their words and their thoughts, what motivates and drives them, what pushes them. That's what the fuck we need to make room for, because what happens is when we make room and we take the time to understand our craft so that we can better overcome the obstacles on the fucking levels that we play every single day. And I'm not saying that, you know what I mean, like everything's gonna be fucking honky-dory. Like, you are going to still lose sales. Like, no matter how good you are, that shit just happens. But it feels far better when you lose one deal when you're at your top producer level, because you got fucking plenty more, so you don't even feel it. But if you're a low producer and you lose that one deal, that's fucking half your pipeline. That's 25%. That's probably your whole pipeline, dog. And so, yeah, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna hurt, and that emotion is going to sway you and pull you in the direction you don't want to go. What direction is that? The direction where you're a cancer on your floor. You're a fucking negative influence, and instead of owning up shit and taking the time and taking full fucking responsibility, what you do is you find an excuse, right? Or I'm not, you know, when you get into that bracket. So I don't want you to get there. I've been there. I have agents who've been there, and I was fortunate enough to help them dig their way out and see the brighter side and control their mindset and understand their motivation and understand this game called sales. And I want to help you understand it too. So if this is your first time watching Sales Remastered, whether you caught me on Facebook or YouTube, please click the subscribe or the like button. And anytime that I upload content, you'll see it on your feed, or you'll be notified if you hit that bell. And, you know, I got a lot of the audience that listens to me on the way to work. I appreciate you. Whenever you absorb my content, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the feedback, the likes, the comments. I see you. And because of you, I'm able to grow and better inform you on content that applies to you. So I invite you to do that. Look below the notes on this video. You're going to see a link that goes to my sales script. You got to get the sales script. It has the entire philosophy of Sales Remastered behind it. It's about EQ selling. It's selling on emotions. It's the difference between attracting versus chasing. It's the difference between helping versus qualifying. It's the fucking reframe of your mindset that'll put your game on right. So look at the notes below. I also got links to other playlists that I have developed, and inside those playlists we'll have the subject that you, or the topic that you are interested in, and take a gander. Go look around. I'm only getting better, and I'm only adding to the collage. So please consider subscribing, hit that like, hit a comment, and share this video link on your Facebook, on you know, on your LinkedIn. Maybe shoot it out to your team. Go to salesremastered.com. in the blog section, which I've called Inside the Mindset of Sales Remastered. If you like written content, right? Like if you like memes and you like pictures, go to the website, check out the blog, and look at the posts. If there's a headline in there that relates to you, check it out, right? Like it's only going to be a good investment in your future, because you are going to go through that challenge. And the more views you get to see from people who have overcome that challenge, the better prepared you are, because you already know the fucking path. So I'm gonna help you out. Do me one solid: like, comment, share, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.